From Lagos now for more on this story. Jed, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Most of us would not understand the details here. We really want to understand what caused the internal service degradation at Cloudflare and how did it lead to the widespread outage that we experienced this morning?
All right, good evening, Maz. Yeah, so as you rightly said, a lot of people might not necessarily understand what happened, but so before you understand what happened, you need to understand what Cloudflare is and what Cloudflare does. So Cloudflare is a traffic handling infrastructure. So the reason why your website doesn't go down because of unnecessary traffic, or we call it DDoS sometimes, so that's distributed denial of service, is because Cloudflare filters out what seems to be correct traffic rather than just allowing any traffic. Because, you know, when you have so much traffic that even your site did not envisage, the site will go down. And you know, one of the principles of cybersecurity is CIA. So A means availability. So okay, let me start from C. C says that's we have integrity. That's the I, and then the A means availability. So your site or your web app or whatever it is must always be available. And of course, that's what we experienced today. The fact that Cloudflare for a bit wasn't available to users.
Desktop as an example, and I have too many tabs open. So my laptop would work slower because there's too many tabs open. So often I have to clear my cache. Yes, am I correct?
Exactly. Something similar to it.
So this means
now for context, Cloudflare controls about 20% of the internet. So you see, it's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, but why I'm curious is that this usually would happen. So how did they deal with it before, and what was different from today?
Okay, Cloudflare has an automatic way or method of dealing with issues like this. Their infrastructure allows them to know if something is proper or not. So I think what happened, or the reason why this really played out, was some technical glitch sort of within the system, such that the system saw legitimate traffic, but then interpreted it to be illegitimate traffic, and so it just threw an error message, and of course affected the majority of us today.
Right. So there was X, that's Twitter, there was Canva, and I think a couple other sites that were affected. Why were these specifically, or specific sites, I don't want to use the word targeted, but why did these sites fall victim to this occurrence?
Okay, so if we take a census, you realize that even within Nigeria, many of our websites were affected today because majority of us use Cloudflare to avoid DDoS attacks. So aside the popular ones, the Twitters, that's X, ChatGPT, Canva, and co, many sites were down, and that's because Cloudflare is one of the main what we call it now,
gatekeepers. Okay.
Sorry.
I was hoping the word you were looking for was gatekeepers.
Yeah, basically gatekeeper. So it's a gatekeeper and is used by over 20% of the internet. And 20% of the internet is a whole lot of sites. Whole lot of sites. Because
I can imagine.
There are billions of sites on the internet. So that's what really played out.
If this happens again, would it still cause these websites to be victims of the occurrence? Or is there anything that can do to prevent a similar outage?
Yes, I think this is a wake-up call to all organizations. Having one CDN is no longer a solution, right? It's not sustainable. Because when your CDN goes down, when you have only one, it fails. And of course, if it fails, there's going to be a big problem. So in cybersecurity, one of the things we use the 3-2-1 principle. So 3-2-1, it says you must have 3 backups on 2 different media, and one of them must be off-site. The reason is to have a redundant architecture. Redundant in the sense that you have one architecture that is not working at the moment, so that in case there's an issue, you can just easily fall back on it. So that redundancy, or the principle of redundancy, fails because all of us make use of Cloudflare. So I think now the other guys that are in the market with Cloudflare would, of course, start to take out of the market share of Cloudflare. So because we now know that we can't just rely on Cloudflare alone. So that's one of the things, one of the takeaways from here.
Jed Oyene, thank you very much for bringing us this information that would have gone over our heads. But thanks for simplifying it. Thank you very much, Jed.
Yeah, Mars, it's my pleasure. Thank you.